Without further ado, I want to hear your biggest Stars Hollow welcome for Mr. Scott Patterson.
Hey, everybody. How are you? Oh, there's a lot of you out there. My gosh. Hi, Amy. How you doing? You all look so good. Oh, my goodness. It's very hot to be wearing a jacket like this, but I wanted to come out and at least be somewhat recognizable as the character. Did I pull it off? I don't know. So listen, this is just this little show, right? This tiny little show that built itself up into this phenomenon, right? And you remember all when you discovered it. It could have been 2000 or 2005. But now it's 24 years later, going on 25. And look at this. Look at what we have done with this amazing fan base. You are all responsible for this. So thank you very, very much for your dedication and loyalty. And yes, it's sunny. Look at that. Look at all the shade. Where's everybody from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Right here. Right here. Where? Where? Detroit. So they get Gilmore Girls in Detroit? Is it in English? Yes? Yeah, there you go. Where are you from? Pink shirt. Lorelei shirt. Yeah, where are you from? Where? The 101, yeah? There you go. Where are you from right here in the front row here? Second row. Where are you from? Hey, Vinny, how you doing? How you doing, buddy? So anyway, this tiny little show grows into this monolith. And does it feel great to be a part of this? Does it really, really, really feel great of this? And what about, okay, first of all, hi. I love you too, whatever your name is. I'm sure you have a great name. Hey, hi, buddy. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a show where so many of the cast members have gone on to do huge things, win awards, get nominated for Oscars as Melissa did? And I mean, Rose Abdu, who I'm going to call out here in a minute, she's getting nominated seemingly every year. She's on Hacks now. Lauren Graham going on to do great things. I mean, it's amazing. I want you to know that I personally have been nominated 20 years ago for E! News's what they call the Golden Potato Award. And it's a Best Chemistry with Lauren Graham, right? So I've got that in my library. I'm very proud of it. It's the only award that I think I ever ate. Every year, and this is something you probably don't know, Lauren and I get together to celebrate this. We get together in Sun Valley, Idaho, and we have a potato together. So it's always good seeing her. It's always great to eat a potato. All right, I'm going to start bringing out these guests. You ready? Are you ready? He played Taylor Dozy. You know him, you love him. He had a lot of issues with Luke. We had a lot of very memorable scenes together. One of my favorite actors in the entire business, Mr. Michael Winters, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Next, I'd like to bring out Sally Struthers' very tall, very thin husband, Ted Rooney, Maury. It wasn't in the script. And also, we have one of the most controversial and most beloved figures, especially if you're a Rory fan. He once said to Rory, "You'll never make it," and thereby firmly embedded himself deep in the heart of all Gilmore fans. And he is reminded of this every time he is in an airport, by the way. Greg Henry, Mitchum Huntsberger. There he is. You love him, right? I also want to introduce an actress who is second to none, one of the great character actresses of this time or any other, can do any accent, can do any character, any feeling evoked. She's on a hit series now called Hacks. Rose Abdu, Gypsy. And last but not least, you know her as Mrs. Kim, owner of Kim's Antiques and a lethal talent, if I might say so myself, Emily Kuroda, ladies and gentlemen. This is part of the bit. It's part of the act.
It's an antique. Warner Brothers is going to charge you for that.
Do they have the AC on out there? Is that just making sure you're taken care of? Good, good.
You know, we rehearsed this for 6 solid months, 10 hours a day. And that was actually in the rehearsal. This is a gag. It's called a happening. See?
We love you.
Can you take this? Lo, take that. Thank you. Or actually, give it to me. Give it to me. I'll never see it again. It's a really nice jacket, and I don't trust him. I don't like the look.
What's everybody eating? Why is everyone eating but me? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'd like some popcorn. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Have a little popcorn. Let's have a little discussion. So,
So happy.
let's talk about the first time you came in contact with Gilmore Girls. Tell us about it, Rose. The script, what did you think?
So I moved here from Chicago. Chicago! In November of 2001. And it was my birthday. And the very next day, I had the audition for Gypsy. I was so excited. And I went in, and I knew that everybody was talking fast on the show. That's all I really knew about the show, was how fast everybody talked. So I decided to give Gypsy an accent, and I went in, and the only note I got from Amy Sherman-Palladino was, okay, now go even faster. So that was the scene with, I can't look at this car anymore. And the rest is history. And I was so thrilled, because I thought I was going to do one episode, and it ended up being a 7-year lovely time. And I just couldn't be more grateful to be here with all of you, because the fans, like Scott was saying earlier, we just love you guys so much, and you make our lives so rich and wonderful when you think you get one job in television and then it just goes away. This is an enduring 25-year thing. And don't you think we should all do something really special for the 25th anniversary?
I actually think we are. I cannot tell. Thank you very much. Thank you. I stole your popcorn. We'll be right with you, thanks.
Thank you.
We've got really important things to do up here. Emily, your first contact with Gilmore, what was that like? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember getting the script, and no, I don't remember. But it's a good script and it's a good show. And when I went in, I was like, talk fast. So I talked as fast as I could. Yeah. My girlfriend worked on the show, and she goes, "Oh my God, I can't talk that fast." I said, "Try."
I always said, I don't talk too fast, you listen too slow.
That's a good one.
I love being here, because if real Gilmore fans know that Mrs. Kim and Gypsy have never met,
Never.
right? Emily and Rose know each other, but if you think about it, have Mrs. Kim and Gypsy ever been in the same scene? Never once.
That could be a nice spinoff. That could work.
Yes.
Gentlemen, start your engines. Greg Henry.
Yeah.
One of the great actors. What was your first experience with Gilmore?
Well, my first experience, I think, was on set, as I recall it. And I met Amy. We had a conversation, and she was very charming and very funny and very quick, very fast. Spoke very fast, actually. And then went to work on it. And I think Jamie Babbitt directed that one. And that was my first experience. And then I was lucky enough to do some more.
Jamie Babbitt, yes. Jamie Babbitt did a lot of episodes. She did a couple a year, several a year. She directed the episode where I pushed Jess into the lake, actually. But on the walk up to that scene, right? There's a walk and talk before I even do that. 30 takes. We were the first scene up, and it was almost pushing lunch by the time we got to do the lake push. And we only had the opportunity to do one take, because it would take so long to to dry his hair and redo his makeup and get him new clothes, because he would have to go all the way back to base camp, which is here, and we shot it somewhere, I don't know, over there. So it was just kind of one take, and then we went to lunch. Most memorable scene, Ted?
Most memorable scene. It has to be, as I mentioned in the podcast this morning, a little moment that Sally and I, by the way, Sally and I went to the same high school in Portland, Oregon, if you can believe it. And I had a little story lined up, as you asked. The first experience with Gilmore Girls was on the first day on the set. Sally and I were sitting next to each other in these director chairs. We hadn't even talked to each other, but I knew that my dad was purported to be her favorite math teacher in high school. And she was a big star from All in the Family when I was growing up, so I knew exactly who she was. And I sat down next to her, and she goes, "Ugh, it's so hot today," just like today, right? And I said, "Yeah, not like the summers in Portland, Oregon." And she goes, "Are you Ed Rooney's son?" She got it. She got it in that very moment. She remembered. She knew my dad. She saw this long face, and she recognized it. But then we had this lovely moment on our steps in one of the first episodes, where a little romantic moment. I think it was after Cinnamon had died, so we were kind of reconnecting. And what I love about that moment, besides being with Sally, was that Sam Phillips, who was one of my favorite singer-songwriters for the previous 20 years, had written a little, you know how she writes these little la, 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 la moments, just for that thing. And so at the Christmas party, when I spoke to her, she said, yeah, I wrote that just for you guys. And I'm like, oh my God, one of my favorite writers, you know, alive, wrote something specifically for us. I thought that was so cool. Oh, and then T-Bone Burnett, who was her husband at the time, said, hey, Sam really wants to meet Lauren. And so I got to bring Sam to meet Lauren. It was really cool. Really cool. At the Christmas party, yeah.
Michael,
Yeah.
first experience with Gilmore Girls. What do you remember about it?
Well, it was before the show even aired. It was just another thing that I did an audition for. And it was supposedly 4 episodes I guess it started about the 7th episode. But I had never seen it. I had no idea what it was like. And I got the script and I read it and I read it again. And I thought, now, is this laugh out loud funny? Or is it something different? I never could figure out. And then I got the part anyway. And when I first came to work on it, I started to hear about how fast we had to go. Because what Amy and Daniel, her husband, who were both involved in it, were great fans of 1930s screwball comedies, which you may have seen on TCM or something like that, but they all just talked a mile a minute. Everything went mile a minute. And so that's what they were thinking. And I found that out after I had the job and started to learn this stuff. So it just rolls off the tongue really fast, no hanging around for anything. So my first thing was that first day I started to work. And then my first scene was with Scott, and we started our series-long clash, I guess.
Love affair.
Yeah. I was decorating the whole town for Halloween, and he wanted nothing to do with it. And so the first shot I remember very clearly doing was sneaking pumpkins up onto the front steps of the cafe. And then about a month ago, I was on Scott's podcast, and so we were going to talk about that episode. So I watched it again, and that scene appeared nowhere. So I have no idea whether I really shot that or I can't remember. Maybe I just forgot it or it just went away. Anyway, that's how it began. Fast talking, that I think will work for everybody.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked on a show, Rose, that required you to speak so quickly?
No, this show and Scandal were the two where you really had to move quickly. But I remember my very first scene was with Ed Herman and Jared, who played Dean. And by the way, everyone asks me this, and I must have said this maybe before to you, but they ask which team. I'm Team Dean, because Team Dean, you know, maybe not for Rory, but for me, what a great kid. Not in a romantic way. Come on. But Gypsy loved Dean. I love his car. He had the best car. And that's how Gypsy judges everyone whose car needs not so much work. You know, but I loved him. But it was a night shoot. It's so crazy being back here because I was with Ed Herman and Jared, and we just had so much fun late at night shooting. And I was telling Scott this earlier, just know that how you feel right now in the sun, that's how hot it was when we were trying to pretend it was a chilly fall day in Stars Hollow, Connecticut. It was always this hot. Like most of the time, or if it was supposed to be really hot in the show, it would really be freezing cold.
Yeah, those town hall meetings is like being in a sweat lodge.
Yes.
Michael and I lost a lot of weight in those. Everybody lost a lot of weight in those
was
rooms.
fun.
In our winter clothing, right? It's 120 degrees in there. We're in there.
Oh my gosh.
Probably 15, 16 hours when we're doing those things because so many people have to be covered. You know. Emily, did you ever experience a town hall meeting? Were you in a town hall meeting ever?
Never. I was so jealous of you guys.
Oh, don't be.
Kim wasn't at the town hall.
It
Never.
was hot in there.
Yeah.
And it was enjoyable making the scenes, and they were great scenes. But boy, there was a price to pay in sweat. We can't talk about Gilmore Girls without talking about the Gilmore Girls, right? Lauren Graham and Alexis Bledel. What was your first experience working with both Lauren and Rory like?
Alexis was just like Rory. She would always be reading books. She was so quiet. And we had a termite scene. And, I didn't want to hurt her. So, I was like poking her with my thing, but I was trying to be kind. And she goes, Emily, just hit me with it. It's easier. So I said, you sure? So I did, and she liked that. But she was just like her character. She's just adorable. And Lauren was just like her character too, right? In many ways.
What about you, Rose?
I just remember the episode where it was the whole town was split because you had broken up or there were ribbons. What was that one? Ribbons? Pink, yeah, and it was like, I just loved the line, you don't know a piston from a pepperoni. And I just remember thinking like, you fix your own truck. So it was like, Gypsy didn't care if Luke and Lorelai ever got back together. But Lauren was so much fun to work with. And I played it like Gypsy's secret was Gypsy really just thought everything that Lorelai did was just the best. And she just had a girl crush on her. I just loved that. And then I remember getting to be in the Emily's bachelorette party. Who's Emily? That was my favorite line. Who's Emily? And I got to be in the house. It was so exciting for Gypsy to be in the house. It was really a cool experience.
And you played more than one character.
That's right, in the revival. So I'm so flattered that people are like, I thought right away the fans would go, that's Gypsy in a curly wig. But I got to be Berta. And Berta, I had so much fun doing Berta because Amy wanted a language that Spanish speakers cannot understand a thing of. She wanted it to sound just enough like Spanish, but like that no Spanish speaker could ever understand it. So I made up my own language. And hola, hello. That's fun.
Give us a little more.
Hello. I just remember thinking, I made a word for crab meat that was canagrep. Hola, hello. Oh, tinola Gilmore.
Michael, do you remember the first time you worked with either one of those?
Well, I remember the first time I met Lauren, she told me what my birthday was because it's the same as hers. And right out of the chute, that was the first connection I made with her, and we came back to that often. And I don't remember what the scenes were early on, because I was just sort of in a daze about what was going on, just getting through it. But I got to work with both of them quite a bit, which was great. But of course, I was always sort of antagonistic toward almost everybody else that you run into in the show. So we never had very sweet moments together, I can't say that.
Ted, what about you?
I'd have to say the Cinnamons Wake episode. That was my big episode, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. As a method actor, you have to imagine what if your cat died, right? And so I spent some time with that cat before they killed it because I asked them to, because I needed to have that for my... No, I didn't. No, of course not. Gee whiz. But still, I wanted it to be an emotional moment. I wanted to be true to the story, even though this is a comedy. And it was so great to have Alexis there right next to me when I'm having a moment, and she comforts me. So that was special, and very much in line with who she is, too. So she never really acted, by the way. She's not that great of an actor. She just brings herself to it. I guess that's what good acting is all about, though, right? No, she's so sweet, and she brings that to the camera and keeps the tempo going, too.
Going fast.
Yeah. Greg.
Well, I worked with Alexis most of the time. And like you said, I mean, she was always just off reading. She was always very, very lovely and sweet and smart and funny and present and in the moment and just a wonderful actor. To contradict a little bit, but she's really amazing. And Lauren, I only worked with one time, I think, and it was when I was sort of screaming at Matt, and it was that whole sort of episode, and so we didn't really have much except like 2 lines or something like that. So, but I liked her a lot, and I think she's really good.
I remember getting up to, we shot the pilot in Toronto, as you all know, and there was a Unionville was a town right on the outskirts of Toronto, and that's where the Luke's Diner was, and that's that opening shot of the pilot. That's that nice little street in Unionville, Ontario. And I'd gotten to the set early on my first day. I was just hired as a guest star for the pilot. But my manager said to me, the pilot script opens with Luke's Diner and it ends with Luke Diner, so I think there's something might be there. This might be a chemistry check, and if you pass the test, maybe you can get more episodes. And I'm like, probably, maybe. And I got there a little early because I was pretty excited to shoot and be there and just sort of check out the Luke's Diner set. And I came in the back and I saw Lauren and Alexis rehearsing those scenes, the scenes they had with the guys that are coming up and hitting on them and all that, those funny scenes. And the chemistry between those two was electric. It was so amazing. The timing was there, the flow was there, everything was there. And I really believed them as mother and daughter. So I thought to myself, well, we've got something very, very special here. Because if this works so well, then the whole thing's going to work. And it did. And then when I did my first scene with Lauren, when she comes up and says, coffee, 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 I mean, I could just tell that there was something special there to work with and that it was going to be a fun ride. So I was, you know, at the beginning of the first day, I thought this has a chance. You know, I really, really thought it was a great connection with everybody. Emily, tell us about working with Keiko Agena. She is, in my estimation, one of the most unsung actresses in the business. I mean, she's incredibly well crafted, works on a very deep level.
Keiko and I hit it off immediately. Everything she did was honest and so pure. So it was just a joy working with her. And by the end of the first season, I felt like she was my kid, so I didn't have to act anymore. So you know that scene where I kick her out of the house? It was heartbreaking. I almost couldn't talk because it's like when your child lies to you for the first time and it rips your guts out, but you have to, for their good, you have to like kick them out of the house or punish them. So all that stuff was so easy thanks to Keiko's purity.
Rose, tell us your least favorite moment on Gilmore.
I knew you'd have a good surprise for me. I have to say, the town always smelled. The town either smelled like pickles, right? Rotten eggs. There was a smell. So it was one of the episodes where they came at me with a necklace made of trees, like those car freshener, air fresheners, and wanted me to wear a necklace made of those little pine trees. Yeah? And the guy who made the props guy was like, yeah, I couldn't be in the same room with it. And I was like, well, then how am I going to wear it for 12 hours? So that was the only bad memory. That and what was the episode where whose car crashed through your diner window?
Oh yeah, was that
Remember that?
Was that TJ? Who?
Yes, thank you. They know the show much better than any of us. You know that. Give yourselves a round of applause. So I remember they wanted me to get under the car, and there was like this much room to get under the car. And it was 108 in the shade. So those were the only terrible memories, were the bad smelling car freshener necklace and trying to get under a car on a dolly, which was a great ab workout to roll in and out underneath a car. So I really miss those days of being gypsy, having to repair the cars. And I did learn a little bit about automobile repair. Yeah. And I think I said this last time I was here, but the motor oil was always A1 steak sauce. So I can't smell that to this day, Scott, because take after take of having that sticky sauce on your hands. So that scene, and the scene I had with you, that was a fun scene. When it was like, you know, if guys, you strip your gears, you ride your brakes, and if we don't laugh when you make a joke, you think we're stupid. I love that line.
This is the when I'm investigating Max.
You come and ask me about Jess, I think.
Jess or
Yeah,
Max?
yeah.
Not Max.
No, I think it
because
was
Max
Jess.
had a. Okay, so it was Jess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just remember I had a lot of car oil to touch.
I remember that episode too because I was working in Seattle, which I did a lot of the time during the run.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I would come down for big chunks of time and do the show. But this was one of the first episodes of whatever season it was, and I had to come down. I had to shoot everything I did in one day because that's all I had. I would fly down from Seattle, do the day, fly back, and the next day I'd do a play up there. Well, this day, a guy driving a car through the front window, you get one shot at it. Right. There was only one time. And there was a lot of dialogue and stuff before it, getting up to it, and I had one of those walk and talks where I had a long speech that I had to do word perfectly one time. And so we'd run up to the crash over and over again, and then finally, okay, we got to do this. And we did, but it was scary. It was scary. Yeah. And then you watch the guy drive a car through the front of the set you've been working on for months.
All right, well, now we want to go into the audience now because we want to hear your questions. Okay, the Intrepid crew is coming to you with microphones, Amy, Danielle. So if you have any questions, I think, is Tara out there?
Just Danielle and I.
Just Danielle and Amy.
I don't know if this is on.
If you have any questions, please.
Hi, what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Macklin from San Diego. Oh, hi. I'm Macklin from San Diego. This is my wife. Amanda.
Hi.
Some of the funniest scenes in the whole series and are those with Luke and Richard when they get to interact. Those are my personal favorites, at least. I still quote, "I'm gonna go home and look up dick on the internet" to my wife all the time. My question is, do you have a favorite memory of working with Ed Herman? I also loved you as Detective Strom in Saw 4 and 5.
Thank you. You know, I don't really get nervous going to work, but on the day that I was going to work with Ed Herman for the first time at the golf course, I was terrified because you're working with, a mountain, of talent and a guy that has done so much great work in this business over the decades. And you just you really want to come through and not foul up the scene and really serve the writing and all that. So I was a little bit nervous, but he was wonderful. He was wonderful to work with. He was very patient. If he had a suggestion, he had a very subtle way and a very humorous way of suggesting something without sounding like he was being pushy or even offering an idea. But he would just sort of drop it in. Just a wonderful guy. I was over, everybody, after this, you should go over to the Dragonfly Inn set because they do have the dining room set from Emily and Richard's house. And I was over there yesterday because we were practicing this for 12, 13, 15 hours. It's amazing how much practice we put in. And I went into that room and I touched Ed's chair. And, it's a very emotional experience because he was a real kind of quiet leader on this set, and everybody had so much respect and such reverence for him. And when he passed, it hit everybody very hard. And I'm really, really appreciative to Amy and Dan for what they did in the Netflix episodes and how they honored him and how they continue to honor him through each episode. So just a beautiful guy and a beautiful actor.
Okay, we have another one over here.
I'm Kimberly from Kansas City. My favorite scene is when you punch Christopher's lights out in the town square. Can you walk us through that? How it felt, everything.
It felt really good. It's one of those things where, you just you have to pull your punch, and the camera angle is such that it's really like if this is David Sutcliffe, Michael, you're David Sutcliffe.
I'm ready.
It's not this, it's this. You miss by that much, but with the camera angle, it makes it look like you're really hitting him. So he was in no danger whatsoever. But it was just, those are my favorite scenes to play because it's just action, and you don't get a lot of action. It's a lot of great talking and great situations. But slamming, the sledgehammer into the wall with Jess, and we'll hold hands and skip after you're done. I love those scenes, and the little look to when I was serving coffee to the reenactors, and the little look I gave of defeat to Lorelai and Max when they kissed, and the one you just mentioned as well. Just a lot of fun to do. Really, really fun. Those are fun days,
Hi, what's your name? Where are you from? And what's your question?
Hi, my name's Melissa. I am from here, actually.
The Stars Hollow?
Right. Yes, actually, just an hour outside, New Jersey. I would like to know who each of you thinks the baby daddy is.
Oh, what a good question.
A, B, C, D would not be their answer.
I think it's Logan.
Me too. Same. Logan.
Logan.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue.
I don't condone the situation.
It's Logan.
See, he knows for sure.
Scott, we got another one back here. What's your name? Where are you from? What's your question?
I'm Shannon. I'm from San. I'm gonna freak out. Sorry. This show means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. But my question is, I laugh out loud. I'm sure a lot of us do. What was the hardest scene for you to not break character in?
I think it had to be, for me, it had to be when Lorelai and I kissed the first time, and it had to be when Sean comes screaming down the stairs naked with two pillows. I mean, it was. I think we had to do a couple of takes because we just both fell out laughing. You think he's funny on TV? Just try standing there and watching that, and it's too funny to even deal with. So, we were very nervous about that first kiss. We really wanted to get it right. We did it, and then he comes running through, and we break out and ruin the take. It's a good blooper.
Okay, we got one over here.
Hi, my name is Josiah. I'm from Rancho. My question, I guess, is for all you guys, but what was your guys' favorite scene to record in the show?
Favorite scene that you got to do?
For me, I really do think it was the bachelorette party. because what you didn't see were hours of us just eating every snack known to man, and then Sally as Babette putting like Ritz crackers and cheese whiz on her head, and we all passed out. I mean, it's cut. I think when that scene starts, you just see like a little glimpse, but we really did that scene in real time. It seemed like it was hours of us partying, just the girls in Lorelai's house, and that was the most fun scene. It was just, it was a riot, and Liz and Sally together are so funny. And I know I've said this before, but one of the best memories is being in the town hall meetings and playing the game between takes, what's in Sally's purse. And we would always, and she would, right? And she always would say, she had little baby hands, and she always had like a rubber chicken, and she'd be like, Rose, do you want to see my dog's driver's license? And she's just so much fun to be around.
She had these like rubber hands on long sticks.
Tiny little hands.
For airplanes to quiet screaming children.
Yes.
So she'd like go like around their seat and like
And poke them with the hands.
So they'd quiet down so she'd get some sleep.
She's the best. But what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene? I think, so many. God, so many to choose from.
Wait, I have a memory. During A Year in the Life, I woke up. During A Year in the Life, I remember it was a scene where Berta made a dish that was like made of peanut butter, and it was smushy, but it had meat in it, but no one could figure out what it was. And we had to enter at the same time. And I remember Scott and I both just closed our eyes, and we fell asleep. Do you remember this? We fell asleep.
What scene was this?
Berta, Luke, we were supposed to enter the dining room scene when Rory and Lorelai are eating the mush that Berta made for dinner. And the two of us were sitting in our chairs, and we both just like...
You mean in real life?
In real life.
In real life. Oh, okay.
That was a fun memory. No one else thinks it's interesting, but I thought it was.
I think my favorite scene was, there's a lot to pick from, but the one that was the most difficult and at the same time the most fun was in the episodes, in the Netflix episodes, there was the "Don't Leave Me" speech when she comes back from California, and I think she's going to dump me, and she ends up saying, "I think we should get married." That long speech, because it was terrifying and great. And the thing is, and here's another example of how great Lauren is. She had a line here, a word there. That's hard to do, because it's like I'm on a roll and I'm on a run and I've got momentum, and if your scene partner pauses just a split second too long, you're gonna get over your skis and wipe out, right? Her timing was perfect. So that's, I think, maybe my favorite one.
My favorite one was one where I had no words. It was when I was running for ombudsman in the town, and Lorelai decided I shouldn't win, and so they set up a thing against me. Somebody was going to beat me. And so I had always won before. It had never been a question. And they were sitting in Luke's having coffee, and there was that plate glass window that looked into my candy store. So they looked, oh wait, there he is. And I'm sitting at the counter in the candy store, and I just reached down under the counter and got out a canister of whipped cream and just sprayed it in my mouth, and because I was so sad and I needed a pick-me-up. That was one of my favorites, because all I had to do was squirt my mouth full of whipped cream.
The gag moment. Certainly with Sally, just being with her, keeping a straight face with her, laugh a minute. But there was one episode, you guys could tell me, where we're swing dancing. People are. And I like to swing dance, and so I think as I recall, they let us make up our own dance steps. Wow. And that was, this was a cast gift early on. I think in 1977 we got these. Everybody got a cast gift every year, and I always look forward to those. I still have a cup, Gilmore Girls cup, hanging on our cup rack. It's an actual original from that. But we got to make up our own dance step, and we just had so much fun. I'm dancing with Sally Struthers, the superstar from Grant High School.
I guess it's my turn. Mitchum wasn't really part of the laugh a minute Gilmore Girls, but the scene that I think enjoyed the most was the scene with Ed Herman. I had a sort of long scene in the restroom, and he was saying how wrong I was about Rory, and I was just explaining, my feelings and what business was about, and it was a kind of a back and forth between these two sort of like rich guys of the town, and both of them very clear about their stances. And it was a fun and a challenging scene to play, but it was great because Ed was a great scene partner. What a wonderful actor. Yeah.
My name is Debbie. My mom's sister and I watched when it first aired, and it's on a continuous loop on Netflix. So this Jess question: he loved to prank the town while he wrote the screenplay to Glitter. What prank would Taylor or any of the other panel like to play on Jess?
What prank would you guys want to play on Jess?
Do you have one?
Come on, Scott, you got this.
I don't know, probably put, icy hot ointment for his hair pomade.
So mean. I would put a banana in the tailpipe and then overcharge him like he's never been overcharged before.
I think one of the best ones was, again, one I didn't have that much to do with personally, but I broke my foot right before we started shooting one season. And so I called and said, I don't know what we're going to do. I can't walk. And so they got me an electric wheelchair. And so I rode the electric wheelchair through one episode. I had a great time doing it. I wish they'd have kept it, but they didn't. But to cover that, somebody had a line to me about, did you ever find out who left that banana peel on your back porch? And I said, no, but I'm gonna, and they're gonna pay for it. And that was the end of the discussion about why I'm writing in it. I thought that was a good one. They got me that time.
Danielle, do you have one?
Yeah, I do. Hi, my name is Ailette, and I'm from Paramount. Sorry, it's so nice to meet you guys. I have a question for Scott. I just wanted to know how the wardrobe process was for Luke. Like, was it always given that he was going to wear a backwards cap and a flannel, or was it something that developed throughout the storyline?
Yeah, I walked in with the cap on backwards because I just thought it was right for the character. And I used to play pro ball, and I used to wear it like that a lot when I was during batting practice or whatever. Yeah, so the wardrobe process was really like the flannel thing was, I guess, an Amy directive. The look of it, yeah, and they liked the baseball cap thing was good. So it was a kind of a collaboration.
Two more. What's your name? Where are you from? What's your question?
My name is Seattle. My question is, I have to imagine after playing a character for so long, a part of you seeps into your character, and you have to have a part of your character that you love that you can see yourself in. So where do you see yourself in your character?
Could you guys hear that?
Who's that for?
All of you. How much are you like your character?
Mike is not.
Okay. I think, there's two ways to approach a character. You can either do an imitation or you can just inject yourself into it. And I think that's kind of a balance with Luke because he's similar in ways and dissimilar in others. I mean, obviously I related to the material and the writing and I took a real chance in the audition because all the writing was so light and so airy and so humorous and so funny. I thought, well, this will be a nice counterweight if I go in and be kind of a grumpy guy and this, and the directions in the writing said that he was a curmudgeonly guy or whatever, not necessarily ill-tempered, but it was kind of pretty easy to nail it because the writing was there. You get to say those lines, so it's, I often compare it to Shakespeare. You just sort of memorize it, open your mouth, let the words pour out, and it takes you where you need to go. The writing was that good. So. Well,
and I think, too, that Amy and Dan, the more they got to know us, the more they wrote for us, for our voices in the character that they were developing, and then just our presence would add something to it. So it got easier to do, got more like us as we went.
They had a very strange ability to know your life.
Yes.
And you hadn't talked about it.
That's so weird. That happened to me all the time with them.
How did they know?
They would write very specific things that had just happened to me in real life that week. Like, that was really creepy. But great, but also great.
Yeah, we were paranoid all the time.
I'm exactly like Gypsy and Berta. I'm exactly like both of them.
Okay, I have the final question over here.
Hi, my name's Kelly. I'm from Orange County. First of all, thanks for having us. The question, I'm over here, Scott. Right over here in the green. How you doing? Hey, big fan. So questions for the group. First of all, I'm here with my cousin. She loves you. She's shy. Second, where do you think Luke and Lorelai are now?
Ooh.
They're still here in Stars Hollow. They're the same. They haven't changed. And I think that's the beauty of the characters. They just sort of stay that way. And that, so they're just, she's probably throwing a Christmas party at the Dragonfly and
Well, he just gave her a new coffee machine from Walmart. We know that much. I'm like, you couldn't have Gypsy at the counter? Gypsy couldn't...
These are the Walmart boots and these are the Walmart pants, ladies and gentlemen.
We want more commercials.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're the same. You know, maybe Luke is softened a little bit, and he's being a little more decorative and celebratory in the diner. Maybe, you know, maybe a little.
No man buns.
Still never. No. That's a very good question, and
What a good eye.
they wanted you to. They wanted to pique your interest in that way. Yes, I don't know. I mean, it's like draw your own conclusions because you know. Okay. All right, we have time for one more question. Yes. Yes. Shout it out.
She's so enthusiastic, she has to get a question.
Okay, first of all, my boyfriend's in the back because he doesn't like the sun, but he loves you in Saw, and I have to tell you that. He thinks that you're just fantastic, and he made sure to text me and say, if you get your question, please tell him that I love him. He's in a Baja Blast shirt, so if you see him, that's him. My question is, you guys are iconic. Like, nobody could play your roles the way you guys do. Like, you're fantastic. You raised me. Like, I love you guys. But if you could, what other character would you play?
Oh, I love that. Wow. Whoa.
That's a great question.
That's an easy one.
Who would you play?
Kirk! Come on!
Same. He had what, 64 jobs? How many jobs? Yeah.
I think Taylor is perfectly happy being who he is, whether you like it or not. So I think he would just go on as he's always gone on.
I would want to be Emily. She's just one of my favorites. Anything I could do with Kelly Bishop, the best. And I just got her book as a gift. I cannot wait to read it. I hope you're all reading it. One of the best memories I have is reading Lauren's book while I was working with her. So I get to put it down and then ask her questions about each chapter. It was so much fun. She's amazing.
Yeah, I think for me it's Kirk too. Yeah, that's he had a lot of fun. You know, I would have loved to have made those films by Kirk. I mean, come on. Just so great. You know what? I think one more, and then we got to wrap it up, folks. In the back there, in the brown.
Hold on.
Listen, the mind is a very powerful instrument. If you think it, it will be, right? So keep thinking it. And you do, and we hear you loud and clear, and we're thinking it too. So expect it.
We have some actors here today. We have some cameras. I mean, we're not the largest parts, but we can assemble some kind of story with the six of us. We could do this.
I think everyone would say that.
Only I get to play Kirk.
All right, everybody. Thank you so very, 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 very much. Thank you, everybody. Greg Henry.
Thank you,
Ken
guys.
Root, Michael Winters, Rose Abdu, Emily Kuroda, and you, the best fans on planet Earth for 25 years, and we're going to make it 25 more. Let's go!
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.